Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's video broadcast. Jeff from Starting Horse Value. And I got with me here today someone a lot more famous than I am, Alan at Derby Will. And he's part of the Auxiliary Gate podcast focused on Kentucky horse racing. Anything else you want to say about yourself, Alan?
No, not really. I'm a pretty boring dude, right? For some reason, people want to have me on their podcast. I find it amazing, but I am honored and thrilled to be here. I'm very appreciative, and I'm looking forward to this. And hopefully, you are too. And by the end of the time we're done, you're not regretting it.
No. So listen, I pick out people on Twitter. Alan is hilarious. He's got a very dry sense of humor, which I really appreciate. And I think his tweets are just hilarious. And then I saw he did a podcast. So I figured, well, he can't be a complete amateur. He's got to be able to, hold his own here. So
I might be able to talk my way through this. We'll see.
So I'm obviously still very much an amateur. I'm trying to do these every week, but I haven't done one in 3 weeks. My first one. 2 weeks ago, I was out of town. I just couldn't do it. And then last week, Alan and I were going to do the show, but it was just too damn cold across the entire nation, it seemed like. So we pushed it off a week. We're here today. It's fairly warm. In fact, today out here in Texas, it was like 72 degrees. Okay. Absolutely perfect. How's it in Kentucky, Alan?
Kentucky is not bad today. It is a high of 52
Okay.
after some really rough stuff we had a couple weeks ago, which forced the cancellation of Turfway for about a week.
Yeah.
And some other issues too. But so far today, man, I drove 85 miles on the way home from work today. It was nice. It's nice.
How's the weather look this weekend?
You know what? I haven't looked that far ahead. My wife's birthday is Valentine's Day, so I'm kind of in a one-track frame of mind at the moment. I have to get that taken care of. I get hit with that every year.
Yeah, every year.
That's my focus.
So my wife and I had a great conversation today about Valentine's Day. We sat down. We discussed mutual expectations. Mine, of course, are lower than hers. Okay,
right.
But we got it all in the open. Expectations are clearly understood, and I think I'm gonna hit my A game. I'm hitting my A game for Valentine's Day.
All right, cool. You got any spill anything early or not? Ours involves sushi. I know that. What about you?
We're gonna do. No, we're going to this other restaurant down in downtown Dallas, and then near there is a little chocolate shop, like really high end, really good chocolate. We're gonna do that, and then and then we're gonna come home, and I'm hoping
keep going.
I'm hoping for my expectations to kick in.
That's not going to be live streamed like this is, right? I mean, the viewership would go up tremendously. I'd like to think that I might bring you a couple, but I think that would bring a lot more. But
I'm going to keep that one on the down low.
Okay? All right, you do that, brother.
Okay, but it's going to be a good Valentine's Day. Now, what we're talking about today is Turfway. Alan runs this Auxiliary Gate podcast focused on Kentucky horse racing, all aspects of it. So that's why we're talking about Turfway. Turfway's got a couple stakes races on Saturday. Should be interesting.
Yeah, I think so. And again, I'm a native Kentuckian. You're talking to me at Louisville, Kentucky, home of we got a horse race here you may have heard of, right?
Yeah.
The Matt Win. No, I'm kidding. I'm talking about the Kentucky Derby.
Saturday mile.
Yeah, and I live about 15 miles from Churchill Downs, and I know it catches a lot of heat, but the people there are fantastic. I can't say enough about them. A lot of them we've had on our show. And Turfway is a bit of a hidden gem to me. I brag about it often. The racing is actually fairly good. The fields are large, as I'm sure you're probably aware of.
I am.
But it is not that as hard to come up with the winners people like to think it is. I'm sure I will prove that theory wrong today. But I will tell you that the racing is very enjoyable. And people complain about not having big fields. Turfway has big fields, and that's and I can't say enough about it.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to talk about it. It's not a track I play too often, but I have played it quite a few times already this year, and I've had success actually.
Yeah.
It's a track where I think you can get some value. You can find a good reason to play a long shot, and hopefully it hits. So I like it. I love Louisville. I love Keeneland, Lexington. I'm coming for the Breeders' Cup this year.
Yes.
And I've been to Keeneland so many times. I love it. I've only been to Churchill once. I got to come again. I've only been for the Derby. I need to come just for a normal, like Friday. But love Kentucky horse racing. So
Have you ever made it to Ellis Park? Have you ever made Ellis Park or Kentucky Downs?
No, Kentucky Downs though is definitely on my list.
Yeah, it's unique. It's as unique as you think it is on TV.
It's unique, and it's I like playing it. It's hard because they run for like 6 or 7 days, 8 days, something like that, and every horse only races once, so you can't get any like comparative analysis over a long meet. Okay, you basically got horses coming in from all over, and same thing as Keeneland, but it's even more niche.
Yeah.
Plus, you got the right-hand turns, you got the hills, you got the long stretch with a little left-hand turn. I mean, it's a very unique track. I really like it.
It really is, and I will tell you one very basic thing. It's a common thread that people know about, and it sounds easy because more so than the other tracks, horses that have a previous success there do run well. And I know that's a cliche in a lot of regards, but I think it's enhanced at Kentucky Downs more so than any other racetrack.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
I used to pick huge long shots running down the hill at Santa Anita. They don't run down the hill near as often, although it's back. But if you had run down the hill previously, you were a very solid wager, even if you hadn't run that well.
Yeah.
You were going to learn from that. So, yeah, I think you're right about that. All right, well, let's dig into Turfway, race 1, 6.5 furlongs on the Tapeta, maiden claiming. And I'll let you start us off with who you like in the race.
Well, I'm going to do most of this off the top of my head. I've got some notes here on my wife's little notepad, but, I seem to be, I haven't lost all my marbles yet. I should be able to come do this off the top of my head. The maiden claimers are a bit of a staple at Turfway, and a lot of people hate them. I like them. Sometimes they're tough reads. Sometimes crazy things happen. But we're starting off with a $7,500, right? 6.5 furlong maiden claimer. There's Brad Cox has one on the rail. It's only 2 career starts. It's dropping down, plunging to the bottom. They're getting rid of it. Even money on the morning line. I don't want any part of it. I may pass the race. There's a horse I like at 15 to 1 that I'm going to take a shot with in the 3-hole named Jay Boone. The horse is a half to a couple of 6-figure winners. One of those horses, I believe, hit the board, ran first, second, 10 and 14 lifetime starts. So I'm willing to give this horse another look, depending how the field's bad. The field is really bad. Yeah. So there's enough pedigree there to make me think maybe the drop is maybe where the horse needs to be at. And more so than anything else, it's the running style. The horse, the Brisnet Speed Fig indicate that the horse should be out near the front early on, if not on the front, maybe just off. And in these type races, you might have a little cheap speed of the horse who can get out, and they'll hit the turn and be gasping for air. Maybe if someone's in that garden spot, in the 2-3 spot, maybe a horse on the drop can punch the gas on a turn for home. So I like the trainer. Ray Hernandez does excellent at Turfway Park. His go-to guys, Edgar Morales, have won quite a bit early on in the meet with some very sharp-looking winners. I'm sure this horse is nothing special, but at 15 to 1, I will give Jay Boone a shot to kick off the opener and try to beat Brad Cox at 3 to 5 on the rail with a horse that they just don't want anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So let me share my charts. Now, by the way, this chart for Turfway Saturday is on my site for free.
Oh, okay.
Go to my website. Anybody listening right now, you can pull it up. It's chartinghorsevalue.com, and there's a page that says free. You go to the free page and you'll see it. I post a free page whenever I do a video. Now, this is maiden claiming. Now you'll notice here this little column here, PFDS percentage, and you see a lot of 0.4s and 0.5s and 0.6s. So that means that very few of the horses in this race fit it very well. There's a lot of chaos. Okay?
Yes.
Actually, the horse you mentioned, the 3, gets a 1.0, gets a green 1.0, fits the race perfectly. And by the way, also has is make a 2nd or 3rd lifetime start. And that's a great angle as well. So your pick actually has some value. I'm going to look at this 12.
Amen.
C lane. So, I mean, you get the outside draw. That doesn't seem like too bad a thing. This 38 for value, that's comparing these 2 odds lines that I come up with to the morning line. So this horse has got the lowest 1.4 to 1 odds line for PFDS odds and 2.4 for best odds. Gets $38 of value, gets an A+ grade. That's the bet. Now, I don't know if we're going to get 10 to 1, but that horse looks very live to me. I mean, what do you think of that horse?
Yeah, that was my alternative selection, mainly for a couple of reasons. One, the early pace figs would tend to indicate that this horse is going to be on or near the lead. Jimmy Corrigan is a really good trainer, a longtime trainer around here. Horse comes in from Gulfstream. Who had a previously conditioner named Chris Davis, who's a really good trainer. So they take it. The horse was overmatched in his first start, bring it here to Kentucky for Jim Corrigan. They put it at 7,500. I think this is probably where the horse fits. And at this level, early speed is dangerous. This would be my alternative selection. If I was using two horses in a race, I'd use the one I mentioned, and you're a C lane. I'm like you. I think 10 to 1's a bit of a because people are going to be searching for someone to play in this spot.
Right.
And outside the Brad Cox, I think 5 or 6 to 1 is probably more likely. What are the odds, or you're hoping to get with the horse?
I'll take 5 to 6 to 1 all day. I think 3 or 4 to 1 is even reasonable, but let's hope it goes to 10 to 1. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with you.
You know, thankfully, there's not that many people watching this broadcast.
Oh, I don't know about
that. So anyway, I think that's a solid pick. All right, let's go to race 2. I'll scroll down. I'll start us off here on race 2. Now, race 2, you lose the headers a little bit. Let me see if I can get the headers in. There you go. First thing you'll notice is you got this K. Those happen every once in a while. The Cox horse was a K last race. K is a big favorite. Then you got the entry 1 and 1A. I don't know if both will run or not, but and then you got this horse down here, Narrows Bridge, who gets $17 of value. But if you look at this, PFDS odds 40 to 1, best odds 3.7 to 1. What my algorithm does is it'll sometimes look for a single race a horse could run back to. And these are going to be the big long shots, okay?
Okay.
So I'm not going to lie to anybody. Narrows Bridge is going to be a gigantic long shot, but you know, that's probably, I would either not bet this race at all, or I would take a shot on that gigantic long shot. What do you think?
I like it. Narrows Bridge has had success at Turfway in the past. We mentioned the Kentucky Downs thing where horses run well at Kentucky Downs, have run there previously. And Turfway is a little bit like that, especially on the new Tapeta surface. So the horses who have been off form can regain their form a little bit by either A, just getting back to the surface that they like, or B, getting over that surface a couple times. And Narrows Bridge may be an example of that because the horses hit the board 6 out of 14 times here, including a fairly recent win at double-digit odds, going 2 turns, which this race is going 2 turns. So if you're thinking you might get 20 to 1 or so on this horse, if not more, then yeah, I would not blame you. And Joseph Ramos, the jockey, is actually a fairly solid jockey despite the win percentage. I would not talk you off that one at all.
No, I mean, I'll definitely be playing that one. I mean, if I was in a serial wager, I'm going to have to use that 4. For sure, I'm using that 4. I don't know if I'm using the 1, but I would, in any horizontal wagers, I'd use that 4. But for just a pure win bet with good value, I'm on the 3. What about you?
Well, you know, in these races at Turfway Park, certain races lend themselves to more chaos than other ones do.
Yeah.
It's like, and a lot of tracks are like that. This level is one of those that has a tendency to perhaps do that. Generally speaking, it's more with the sprint races, but the 5,000 non-winners of 3 lifetime, 5,000 non-winners of 2 lifetime, you can have some crazy stuff happen where people are scratching their heads. So I'm automatically going to be looking at a bit of a price myself in here. I have landed on, and it's not a solid pick. It's not that I'm really excited about, but it's the number 8 horse with Fiona Power for all you Shrek fans out there.
Yeah.
Alexia Shard, who our podcast you mentioned, we will be releasing a podcast, I think any moment now, where we talked to Alexia Shard, a French jockey who won the grade 1 at Keeneland last meet on the turf. Really good guy. He just happens to be on this horse. And the reason I'm going with him at 5 to 1, which I think is about what he'll go off at, the horse has 2 starts back at the $15,000 level, which is probably 2 spots up from this, easy. This horse rallied from off the pace to run 4th by 2 lengths. And that race was far better than this, and that the top 3 horses are all solid horses. Addison, Wave of Goodness, and yes, Isa Miller will all be favored in this spot. This horse got to within 2 lengths of him and passed 5 horses down the stretch to get there. Now, in the subsequent race, he did drop down to the $7,500 level, but he inexplicably showed more speed. While he was 4 wide, he stopped abruptly. I'd like to see a Shard take this horse back again, maybe make one late run. And at this level, this horse could wake up. I would not want 2 to 3 to 1. I'll try to beat the favorites with Fiona Power, hoping our new friend, Alex Ashard, can get the job done in race 2.
I like that pick. And I mentioned this PFDS percentage column. It gets a 1, so it fits the race perfectly for all the reasons you stated. So, good luck. This is a wide open race.
It is.
Try to get some value. All right, I'm going to turn it back over to you for race 3.
Oh dear, race. Oh, okay. I just have to glance at these real quick to get my bearings. This race has a bit of a question mark to it. This is a $15,000 non-winners of 2. The rail horse in here is a horse who at Keeneland on his debut last year ran 4th to a horse called Stage Rider, sprinting. Stage Raider. Stage Raider is one of the first son of Justifies to race and was a dominant winner. The second place horse, Harvard, came back to win multiple races. It was a very promising early 3-year-old for Mark Cassey. Things went off the rail a little bit. They were running the horse 2 turns, yada, yada, yada. They gave him some time off, brought him back sprinting inexplicably for $30,000 because I thought the horse was better than that. They brought him back at Turfway and was the easiest of winners. I mean, Joe Rockwell was on the horse that day, pushed the button. He flew by the entire field. He should have. At $30,000 with that kind of class, he should have. Horse gets claimed, doesn't run a step in the subsequent start, but that was against much better multiple winners such as Hurricane Highway. Pirate Rick, who's a really good horse for Norman Cash. They put the blinkers on him. That was a failed experiment. The horse didn't run a step. So now you ask yourself, was it the blinkers that led to the poor effort, or was it just the claim? They're dropping to 15, which is a bit of a question mark. So would I single this horse? No. Do I think the horse has a talent? If he runs back to the race 2 back, did he blow these off the track? Yes. Can I take just one horse? No. So my thinking is I will use Derby House, and I need an alternative selection, and that one would be Vidal for John Ennis, who I can never seem to catch. But this horse was not much to speak about early in his career, but the light kind of went on at the cheaper level pounds. Had really nice maiden score, had some good speed in a race like this that can be the key in a race such as this. Ignore the last race because it was a really poor effort, but he was chasing a horse called No Balls who neutered the field. It was a Larry Ravelli horse, and this horse just got tired of chasing really quickly. That horse is stakes caliber, has won stakes. So the drop to 15 again is a concern for Vidal. But if I take Derby House and just Vidal in this spot, I will take my chances and go with those 2.
Nice picks. All right, so I'll make a few comments. To me, this is a really hard race. There's your horse, Derby House, number 1. Now, what you'll notice here, this is the pace column, and you see there's an E7, an E5, E7, E5. You're probably aware of Kieran ratings for Brisnet. So there's a lot of E horses. They might set up really well for Derby House. But if you look at Derby House 95, that's by far the best late speed in the race.
Yeah.
So Derby House is going to come running. The best early speed in the race is on Vidal, the horse you mentioned. So he is maybe the horse of those speed horses that could maybe break out and get the lead. All right. I would consider that one. The other one I'm liking is the horse that's on top of my sheet called High Cotton Justice.
Yes.
3-month layoff, a little bit of a concern. It looks like he's trying to tap it up for the first time. But has some early speed. And I like this improvement from PFDS to best odds, 6.8 to 3.4. Gets $17 of value to A grade. It's a weak selection, but I'm going to go 2. The other horses I like are the 1 and then the 9, the one you mentioned, with the best early speed.
Yeah, I would add real quick that Rafael Bejarano is at Turfway tonight. That's he's running a couple of big horses for William Morey later. So I expect Rafael Bejarano to be live all day. So that could be a very, very nice selection, especially for Gennaro Garcia, who does very well at Turfway Park, the trainer. What are you hoping to get out of that horse? What do you think? What do you think will win that on High Cotton Justice? What odds are you wanting?
Well, this PFDS odds that I put together, I think it's pretty darn good. So I don't think it's going to drop below the 6.8.
Okay.
So I mean, I think I'm going to get at least 6 to 1.
All right. I like it.
It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th, 6th, 7th choice on the morning line. I don't think it's going to get a lot of support. So, all right.
My interest is peaked.
What was that?
I said my interest is peaked now. I'm paying more attention to that.
Yeah,
I've got my reading glasses on, and I'm looking over it right now.
By the way, this came from your partner, I think, Auxiliary Gate, No Balls.
That's the horse we were talking about. That beat Vidal last time. No Balls.
And then Keith in Every Stride said, "Hey Jeff, Allen, good insight." So,
thank you.
Hey, everybody, feel free to fire up a question if you got one. We're going to go to race 4. Let me look at my comments I made on my sheets. Race 4. Okay, I wrote down. I wanted to highlight first of all this one you see over here in the DS column.
Yes.
That's bad. Okay, you want to 0 and 1 is bad, 4 and 5 is good, 2 and 3 is okay. But that just basically means it's not a great race to bet on. It's always something that people should be looking at, and that's what I think. I think this is a lousy race to bet on because I think the morning lines are right. I mean, the morning lines are good. It's hard to find any significant value. Obviously I think Moonlight Reign's the best horse, but he's 5-2. I will say that I'll take a hard look at Super Steamy, the 8 horse, because of this trainer score. You see this trainer score of 10? That's freaking good.
Yes.
Okay? And these trainer scores that I make are based on the angles for that trainer specific to this horse. So obviously this horse has some great angles. This trainer has some great angles for this kind of horse. And so I think that's a legitimate long shot to look at 12 to 1.
Yeah, I'll tell you something about the trainer there. His name is Jesus Esquivel, right?
Yeah.
And his brother is, I can't remember if it's his brother or his son, I'm not sure, is Emmanuel Esquivel, who's a really good rider out at Turfway. When these two get together, I'll give your viewers a little something to keep in mind down the road. When Jesus Esquivel and Manny Esquivel, a.k.a. Emmanuel Esquivel, team up, they're a bit of a deadly duo. You got to watch those two together. They were together on this horse last time and got it home at 21 to 1, and I didn't get the bet down in time in that one. But that happens, right? We all have our horror stories and such.
Yeah.
But that is something to keep in mind going forward. When the Esquivels, however they're related, team up, watch out. So, yeah, you're right about Mr. Esquivel. He's a high percentage trainer at the lower end, and when he gets them going, you got to watch out at big odds. And you're right about this. This is a tough race. This is a bit of a cluster of a race. I don't think there's a lot of pace in the race. It could be a bit of a clustered finish coming down the stretch. I think I landed on, out of semi-desperation, I guess we should say, the 3-horse Sing Song Bird. I mentioned Rafael Bejarano a moment ago. I do believe he's going to have a good day this time. He's an aggressive rider. Everyone knows he's been on the West Coast. He got his career started at Turfway Park. He's running this horse for a trainer named Robert Pinsons, who's been in Kentucky, for decades. He's older than I am, if that tells you anything. This horse got good at Churchill last meet, got good at Turfway. He's dropping out of a race that's better than this one. Polka Polente. Princess Nina is a third-place finisher in that race, came back to win at this level against many of these horses. So I think the pace of the race may play to Sing Song Bird's advantage in the fact that I think it'll be a second or third early, maybe fourth, and get a jump on the closer such as Moonlight Rain, our closure. So it's a tepid pick. I'm a side with Sing Song Bird. I'm not crazy about the race. I believe in passing races. If I wasn't on this podcast, I would probably pass this one. But hey, we need to put a pick out for people, right? So give me Sing Song Bird.
I agree. It's a pass race, and so, but sometimes you want to put a pick 4 together or daily double, whatever, you got to look at what playing a horse. But I like to look for daily double sequences that are really
Amen.
perfect, and I don't try to worry too much about these pick fours.
I'm a believer in letting the sequence tell you what to do. Let the sequence
Exactly.
tell you what to do.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, race 5. I'll let you go.
Oh boy, yeah. You had to give me this one, huh?
Yeah.
No, actually, there is one in here that I hate to go. I've picked some prices to begin with. I'm afraid the back half of the card, in my mind, maybe get a tad bit chalky.
Oh yeah.
But I say it all the time. Turfway, the way to bet Turfway, the way to make money at Turfway is to bet vertically. Yeah, I mean, yes, the pick fours, the pick fives are nice, and yes, they're fun, but you can make money at Turfway betting favorites, or finding that long shot you can sink your teeth into to hit the board. I preface all that because I like the favorite in here, uh, Brad Cox, Iconic Legacy.
Okay.
This horse is coming out one heck of a humdinger, 2-year-old race at Churchill over their summer meets. Gunite came back to win I believe the Sanford at Saratoga. Really high regarded gun runner horse. Rattle and Roll is one of the favorites for the Kentucky Derby. Is going to make a lot of noise on a Derby trail. That horse was very impressive that day. Iconic Legacy merely split the field that day, but that was a wicked fast pace. The horse has had 8 works. After they stopped on him in his 2-year-old campaign, he's had 8 works since, highlighted by a couple of 5-furlong bullets that looked like the horse is sitting on go. Had a slow half-mile work, coming off those 2 works. Horse looks like he's sitting on ready. I think there's some potential upsetters in here, but I just mentioned Manny Esquivel, and he's riding for Brad Cox. And I hate to do it, but I think he's who I'm going to side with in here.
All right.
Unless, I should add, a lot depends on the also eligible list. There's 2 horses on the also eligible list that can make a lot of noise in this spot, too. So pay attention, as always, pay attention to scratches, right?
Yeah, so I guess the 14's on the also eligible?
Yeah. 13 and 14.
Yeah, the 14's on top of my sheet. Your Iconic Legacy is a little bit low. And the reason he's low on my sheet is because he's, has a race in 7 months, and it looks like it's a step up in class because he's a 2-year-old, now he's going against 3-year-olds.
Right.
So, and I downgrade 2-year-old races a little bit. So you might be completely right on Iconic Legacy.
I hope I'm not.
If the 14 gets scratched, then I'm really looking hard at this 9. Making second or third lifetime start. And it's the B grade, but if that 14 gets scratched, that B would easily turn into an A.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking hard at Peruvian Lucky just based on my odds lines. It's a weak pick. He only gets $3 of value. So, I mean, don't get carried away. But I think he's got a decent shot at least a little bit of a price.
Yeah, and that's Nacho Correas, who does a fantastic work at Turfway, as he does everywhere. And that horse ran a really nice race on debut at Turfway at big odds. I've been waiting for the horse to come back. The aforementioned Rafael Bejarano was on this one as well, too. So I think you may get lucky with that horse. Of all the horses that have raced outside of Brad Cox, that's the one I like the most. So
there you go. All right, 11 we're aligned. All right, let's go to race 6. I'll take care of this one. So this one again, this gets a little 2 over here in the DS column. That's not horrible, and that's based off this one horse, Avenida Manana, which gets $16 of value to A+ grade. Now, when I look at a race, the first 3 things I look at is who gets the plus. I only give one horse a plus per race.
Okay.
And that's the horse I think is the best bet in that race. Okay. And then I also look at who's on top, which would be Seductive, the favorite. And then I look at who gets this little 1. I got these 5 rank columns.
Yeah.
And the 4th one is this 1. And that's based on this PFDS odds. I always want to know who is the lowest PFDS horse. And that's also Avenida Manana. And that's what's driving this $16 of value. So for me, I'm going to take the 1, 7-2, not a great price. I do think, and maybe you can tell me if this is a worthwhile pick or not, this Hero of the Best, whatever that is, coming off a 7-month layoff, the horse gets $17 of value. has obviously some back form that maybe would be competitive, but my top pick is going to be the one.
Hero the Best is a horse I'm fairly familiar with because, again, when you have these long meets, and these horses, there's not a lot of ship-ins, right? So you become familiar with who fits where, the horse population and such. I know this horse, I know the trainer well, Monica Crumman. The horse runs better at Turfway Park. Relative, the record at Turfway Park relative to the price it usually goes off, it actually makes it a horse that every once in a while will pop at a crazy price. I'm looking at 2 wins right here at 11-1 and 25-1. The horse is prone to huge form reversals, and this is not a good race. So if the price is right, I can completely understand that. What price would you want to take that you would feel is fair on Hero the Best?
I would want 20-1.
I think you're going to get it. And these two, Gabrielle Lunas and Monica Crumman, she doesn't win often. She does not win often, but she does win with this horse, so I completely get it. I am going to lean to once again, I mentioned it before, and this is not usually the way I play. I don't like taking a whole lot of favorites, but I think it's Seductive's race. Okay. Seductive is runs big from time to time, going sprint to route. The last 2 times the horses run fairly well, considering some bad breaks. And there's a couple 2-turn races at Turfway on this horse's page that I remember very well, where they blew him off the track. They was coming out of sprints both times. Both times this horse was coming out of sprints. There's not much in this race. Your selection, Avenida Mañana, I have to apologize if I butchered that. Well, I'll just call it the one horse. Is the speed the one you have to worry about going wire to wire? But Seductive, there's a sneaky trainer named Ricky Short there. He seems to get a couple of wins out of this horse every once in a while. So going sprint to route, I'll go with Seductive. But I wouldn't be surprised if anything crazy happened in here.
Hey, maybe we get that. Obviously we took the 1-6 to the logicals, but hey, maybe you can get that 5 underneath in a big vertical. So
right on, brother.
All right, race 7. We're going back to you. Our first stakes race. Looks like a match race.
Yeah. You want me to start with this?
Yeah, go for it.
I thought you might, because you got a much cooler hat than I do. Your chapeau is the bomb.
I'm going. This is my new hat.
I love it. I'm at that age now. I need to start. Maybe I need to start retiring the baseball cap and start going to something else. So I'm going to start using your fashion. Your fashion sense is my guide. I'll see what my wife says. In the meantime, let's get back to this race, right?
Yeah.
Double
Rock lady.
Yeah, this is these are the fillies, the 3-year-old fillies. This is a prep for, I think, the Bourbonnette.
Oh yeah, right.
The Bourbonnette, the sister race to the Spiral, Galloway Furniture, Jim Beam, yada 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 that they run every year.
Jeff Ruby now.
Yeah, so this race is light on horses, big on talent. In that you have Marissa's Lady from Bill Moore. Bill Morey doesn't get the publicity that the other trainers around here that get the Cassies, the Mike Makers, but Bill Morey does extremely good work at Turfway Park. He does good work everywhere, but Marissa's Lady is like the star of his stable at the moment to some extent. And this horse is 3 for 3. And the horses she beat early on, that maiden race where she broke her maiden, that was one of the toughest maiden races of the meet at Churchill for fillies, 2-year-old fillies. Has done nothing wrong since. I'm going to give her the edge over the other monster in here, Bubble Rock for Mike Maker. That horse has done nothing wrong. My only knock with that horse coming out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Fillies, that was a bit of a cluster finish. Sometimes when they all finish next to each other down the stretch, it's kind of a grab bag result. The maiden breaker for her, she beat a horse called Vaccine of Hope, which is a Wesley Ward horse who's not very good, is actually really tailed off at Turfway Park, has not run well. So I think Marissa's Lady's beaten better horses. I'm going to side with the even money horse over the 7-5 horse. The way I approach races like this is either to pass or maybe hammer something underneath in a vertical wager, so some price where the rest of the public is always looking for the 2 horses. Maybe I'll try to split them with a price. Maybe I'll look at Royal County on the outside as a horse that maybe can get in that 2-3 spot where the rest of everyone else is trying to hammer a cold exacta. I really like the maiden win for Royal County here at Turfway. Again, the horse to beat to me is Marissa's Lady, and I'll just go. Beautiful Empire is a nice horse on the rail, but Bill Morey's a really good trainer.
So we're on the same one. I'm also on the 6. The 4, I don't, coming off a 3-month layoff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then trying the Tapeta. So hasn't done that. And then cutting back from that,
Right.
from that turf race. So a lot of questions there. I'm not sure this is really the best race for this horse.
I thought it was an odd spot too.
Yeah. So the 6 to me fits this race perfectly and is a strong A+, gets that plus. If you look at the energy, this little score here.
Yeah.
I got 92, and then it drops down to 86. Now, I like to tell people in my blogs, I got a ton of blogs, but I tell people that 5 points is a big drop. So these two are by far the fastest, and one of them is going to win, is my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be the 6 as well. I would toss the 4. I would be all in on the 6, vertically or horizontally. And looks like we kind of see that one same. If
I could give a shout out to one of my my podcast co-hosts real quick. I know that at least one of them's listening. CC Broadus is my co-host. He's a great guy. I mean, I could go on and on about him. And then my other co-host is Brandon Jaggers, another great guy. A little newer to the sport than CC and I, but I want to give Brandon a shout out because the horse here called Tap Dancing Lady, he hit a monster pick 5 at Turfway a couple of weeks ago with Tap Dancing Lady, who was 65 to 1, which has paid for some of his bets for a couple of months. So shout out to Brandon, shout out to CC, and go Auxiliary Gate.
Hope to get to know you guys better. I'm glad
you're going to be on, brother. You're going to be on. You bring that hat, you're on.
Yeah. All right, race 8. I'm going to take care of this one to start us off. And this is a good race, okay? You see this 4 over here. That it basically says I have an opinion that I think is worth betting on.
All right.
And that opinion is the 8, Daniela's Cause.
Oh.
Who I think at 12 to 1, second or third lifetime start. Looks like gets the 1 perfect score on PFDS percentage. 76 on energy is pretty good. It's when they did the top 3. Gets the B+ grade. To me, this looks like a clear overlay. I love overlay. That's what I'm looking for. And this one looks like an overlay. And you can see my odds lines on the horse are 4 to 1 or 5 to 1. So I think it's an overlay. I'm going to be playing Daniela's Cause.
Okay, so if I go back looking at your charts, I'm trying to learn your methodology here and stuff because I'm always willing to expand my game. Explain to me PFDS percentage real quick.
Okay, the P is for pace, so it's the pace scenario. F is for fitness, that's the workouts. D is distance, that's the surface. And it's how well does the horse fit based on those 4 factors. And a 1 would be a perfect fit, okay? And a 0.4, like on Bodacious Baby, that's a bad fit, okay? Now, it doesn't mean perfect fits win, but it just letting you know the horse fits the race.
Right.
Now, then I have 2 odds lines that I create based on their chance of winning. And one odds line says Daniela's Cause should be 4 to 1, and the other one says 5.4 to 1. So 4 to 5 to 1 kind of horse, and he's sitting over a 12 to 1 morning line. I mean, I don't know what he's going to go off post time, but that represents pretty good value, 13. Anything over 10 is solid. And plus that's why he gets the plus grade. That's how my system works.
Okay. Makes perfect sense to me. I get it. And if you think if it's telling you this horse should be 4 or 5 to 1 to bet, this horse should be every bit of 10 or 12 to 1, in my opinion. It's dropping for Dale Romans. So yeah, if I can understand, I will toss that in because whatever late pick 5 I was going to come up was going to be kind of chalky. So I need something to put in there, and I'll toss this one in there because that debut was against Cocktail Moments for Ken McPeak. That was a really nice racehorse. So I can see it. I think anything can win this race. I think the public's going to gravitate to a couple of horses. I think they're going to overlook this one. So, and my brother's name's Daniel. So, I mean, so there's a lot to like there, right?
That's a Swami angle right there.
Swami angle. I'm going to skip my pick. Yours is just way too damn good. I'm just going to skip mine.
Let me just tell you this. There's no way to be, you're not going to win every race. Okay.
Exactly.
But you got to win a couple, okay, at a good price, and you're set up, okay?
Yeah.
And, this is one of those horses he could win 6, 7, 8 to 1. And, I don't have to hit too many of those. So,
yeah, it's a cliche, but this game is about finding value, not accepting not accepting value not accepting short price on horses that don't deserve it. This game is about finding value and looking. And sometimes the horse to beat is not the horse to. I know that it's hard to explain that to people.
I totally agree with you. You look at this sheet here. The horse to beat is the 2 on my sheet. Okay, probably going to go off at 8-5, and gets that K grade, which is for kill. That's a good. I mean, that's a good horse. Okay,
right.
And it's going to take a lot of beating. All right, but the name of my website is Charting Horse Value. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So there's no value betting that 2, not at 8-5. So I mean, if you got 3-1 on the 2, I would take a hard look at it.
Yeah.
But I don't think you're going to get that. But I think 8-5, and then we'll see what happens with Danielle's cause. And this is a place where I love to play an exacta. I can get the exacta with this horse, or even a trifecta. So the 8 becomes a really key horse for me.
Right. I completely agree. And if I could further your point about value, my selection in this race was going to be the 3 Korea Thunder.
Uh-huh.
But here's the cautionary tale that I think a lot of people missed the boat on. Korea Thunder ran a bang-up race at this level to just miss run second, right?
Okay.
Plus the trouble line says rough trip, gutsy run. And people who watch replays, this is why you got to watch yourself watching replays. Yes, we need to watch replays. Yes, we need to do that. But lots of times everyone sees the same thing.
Right.
So this horse is 7-2 right now because of that second place finish, because of that rough trip, because everybody can watch a replay. This horse has the potential to be underlay status. Yep. Because at 7-2, I mean, you ask yourself, what's fair value on this horse? I would say 4-1, 9-2. I could see a lot of people, everybody, hey, look what I found. I found this horse had a rough trip. Boom, he's 9-5. He's not worth betting at 9-5, right? Totally so you're exactly right. You have to set the odds, which you believe is what you're willing to take. You may be able to give a little bit here and there and stuff, but betting underlays is just not a way to go. And I did definitely think Danielle's cause will not be an underlay in this spot.
Boom. All right. Race 9 is your turn.
Okay. Well, I can't pick a winner here, then I probably ought to give up, or at least get one on the board. I talked about Bill Morey a lot already. This is his stable star. This is a horse called Visitant in this spot.
Yeah.
And this horse is 4 for 5 at Turfway Park. That doesn't quite do it justice. This horse, the only loss was to Set Piece, who's a Brad Cox turf mile monster. Set Piece got him, but to Visitant's credit, Visitant beat Set Piece again last year. The horse, they're only going 6 furlongs. Visitant is technically a 2-turn horse, but Bill Morey has retooled him in the time off, and that was a crackerjack butt kicking last time that he gave those horses with a 100 Brisnet figure. He's going to sit a great trip because his competitors in the race are speed horses who should duel with the likes of Sir Alfred James and another horse I really like, actually, is Divine Leader. But those two should be hooking up. Visitant is a perfect trip. It's a boring pick at 7-10, 4-5. Again, I'm sorry, but that's just the way I see it. This horse is pointed for the 4. This is the 4-go stakes. This horse is pointed for this spot, obviously. Visitant loves this racetrack. Sir Alfred James went down to the fairgrounds, had a bit of a rough trip that day. He's coming back up. So he went to the fairgrounds. He's coming back. There's some question marks there. Give me Visitant, and that horse is a single to me.
We totally agree with you. So Visitant, gets the 1-1-1-1-1. Every way I rank the horses of 5 different categories, which I go through in a blog on my website. This horse ranked first every way I look at it, and I think this horse is going to win. So I don't think there's anything else to add. I mean, if you're trying to pick who's going to take second, I think it's probably the 4 or the 7. But again, that's chalk. That's logical. I mean, maybe I don't know what you think of this 8 Race Driver. It does kind of show up high on my chart. Maybe Race Driver you can get into third. But that's, I think, horizontally, complete single.
Yeah, big single. The way I would attempt to make a little money in this race, I'm going to go way out there. I think there's some complete tosses in this race. I would keep an eye to maybe hit the bottom portions of the superfecta because, as we just mentioned, we could have a huge speed duel up front, right?
Right.
And Majestic Valley at 50-1 is a horse who's a dead closer, usually fires a shot, a little bit outclassed. I'm not asking him to win, right? So maybe the horse gets third or fourth, whatever. Maybe Juice is super effective to some small extent, but it's Visitant for me.
I totally agree with you at the super on that Majestic Valley. Excuse me. So, all right, let's go to the last race 10.
Already? I could talk for 15, 20 more. Nobody wants to hear that.
No, we're doing good on time. All right, so the first is another maiden claiming. We've had a few of those today. This one gets a 1. It's a 5 furlong sprinting maiden claiming. I mean, good. All I could say is good luck.
Yeah.
This is not the kind of race I want to touch. But if someone says you got to pick a horse, I'm probably going to pick. And I don't know, is this 14 also eligible, or is that?
13, 14 also eligible, but we very well may draw into the spot. So
there's a lot of E horses in this race: E8, E5, E7, E5, E6. But the problem is, it's 5 furlongs.
Yeah.
And one of those horses is probably going to get the lead and win. And I don't know who that's going to be, but I really like 14 if 14 draws in. But otherwise, I'm maybe going to go with this. Maybe this 10 horse. I have really no clue. What do you think?
Well, this is first off 5 furlong race at Turfway. They generally speaking, they're going to play to speed. They're going to play to the inside.
Okay.
And so with that said, I'm going to the outside in this race like a moron. So a couple cautionary things, okay, at Turfway Park, which you'll see a lot of times. Tempesta, the 10 horse you just mentioned, is probably going to be favored in this spot. But what we see a lot at Turfway is horses dropping. They will come in from New York with the $40,000 state bred tag on them. They'll get bet because people see that inflated value tag, and they'll bet them heavily, and they don't run very well. There's a couple of exceptions, but people see the $40,000 tag. That's not the big separator that people think it is because of state bred races. Now, again, this horse might err, maybe completely the best. I'm going to lay away from the favorites. I'm going to take a stand against all the favorites here because if I play a vertical wager, a horizontal wager, I've already used some chalk, such as Visitant, right?
Yeah.
And the Maury horse earlier. Skybolt, I'm willing to bet against. Pro Bono is a horse I've tried a couple of times. The horse is, not very good. And then you have this New York horse coming in. I'm going to focus on 3 horses who are prices to try to end to pick 4, pick whatever. The number 1 being number 5 from Welcome Back Cotter, John Travolta fame, a horse called Barbarino, is one I'm going to maybe settle on as a top selection simply because this is a 5 furlong race. I expect some horses to get out. This horse might be sitting in the garden spot behind the speed. At 10-1 on the drop, I'm willing to give it a shot. It's more of a value, as we've talked already. It's more of a value play than anything else, right? Pace plus price.
Sorry, what was the horse's name?
It is Barbarino.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's a pace plus price. The horse may be sitting in a garden spot to punch the gas if the cheap speed in front falls apart. Santiago Gonzalez is a pretty good rider at sitting just off pace and pushing the gas. I'm going to use Barbarino. I'm going to use the 11 horse, a sneaky Russian trainer named Pavel Majestechka. Blow to cold whistle. Do I think the horse is good? No. Do I think anything in this race is good? No. But this horse is dropping down, showing early speed. Might be able to get over from the outside if the horse has that kind of speed, right? So I'm going to use blow to cold whistle. I'm going to use Barbarino, and I'm going to use keep scrolling because the horse that did improve last time, maybe sitting that trip I was talking about a moment ago, and the jockey Farron Peterson is someone at the auxiliary gate we're very high on. She's a fantastic human being. She's a vegetarian. She's a cage fighter. She's incredible, and she's a hell of a jockey and a hell of a person.
Oh yeah, I like her a lot.
Yeah, I can't say enough about Farron Peterson. I can't say enough about all the guests we have on. But those 3 horses, give me 3 long shots to close. Barbarino, blow to cold whistle, and keep scrolling. And I'll cross my fingers that somebody can get home at about 11-1.
All right, I'm going to give you one more you got to use.
I certainly will.
And that is my pal Johnny.
Oh, yeah, the 1 horse.
Okay, the 1 horse is 8-1. And coming off a 5-month layoff, I don't know who that trainer is. The -1 is really, really poor score.
I know him.
Okay, but when you get an 8 jockey, which is the best in the race.
Yes, it is.
Best jockey jumps on a -1 trainer. This usually is a big warning sign, especially off a 5-month layoff. So I think I just have a feeling, like you said, it's kind of a garbage race. Anything can happen. I did a whole blog on this. I call it overjocked. Is when a way too good jockey is riding the horse.
Right.
They run fantastic. So I got my eye a little bit on my pal Johnny, but I'm going to use the other three you mentioned as well. And now I did get a question from the auxiliary gate. Is that your buddy, the auxiliary gate?
That is one of my buddies. I believe that's Cece, if I can read it properly. Yeah.
Okay. He says, when you find a horse you believe is value, what type of wagers do you focus on? Now, I'm probably going to look like an idiot here, but I'm going to do my best. I focus primarily on win, and that would be my number one. And then an exacta, okay, underneath, especially if I'm getting a price, and then a double, where maybe I can either leading into the horse or coming out of the horse in the next race. If I feel like I got a relatively decent opinion on both sides, I'll look at a double. So win, exacta, and doubles on horses that I think have value.
I think you explained it very well. Yes.
Well, I know people may think other things. Last thing I'm going to do is single the horse in my pick four and then lose the whole thing to some 50-1 shot and some race I didn't, like. So, if I have good value, I'm going to bet that horse to win. And I'm going to bet it pretty hard to win.
At the end of the day, there's one thing about racing and stuff, and this current climate of racing that we have. Racing has changed. Exotic wagering has changed, right? But one thing we all need to keep track of, and this goes for everybody. At the end of the day, never overlook betting to win, right? Betting to win is actually, at the end of the day, we fancy it up a lot. And don't get me wrong, the superfectas, the pick fives, they're fun. You can pay a house off, you can pay a car off. We all know that. But at the end of the day, you should never overlook simply betting to win. Hey, this horse is 12-1. Why didn't I bet him to win? That's $26, right?
And a lot of people bet a lot of money on superfectas, and maybe not with the 10 cent, but a lot of people can put a lot of money on pick fours and trifectas. And I mean, I see people betting $400 on $400 or $500 on pick fives. I mean, what's wrong with $400 or $500 on 10-1 shot?
There's nothing wrong with that. And I think sometimes we need it. I think it's something horse players always need to take a step back too, right? Because I'll play superfectas, I'll play trifectas. But again, as we talked earlier, the sequence tells me. But we always need to take a step back sometimes and not get too lost in all the glory of a $11,000 pick five hit, right? And remember, the name of the game is betting a horse to win, and there's nothing wrong with getting a 12-1 return, an 8-1 return, especially when the horse should only be 3-1, right? So I agree with you.
And if you bet early enough in the win pool, now you got to have decent pools, okay?
Yes.
If you're in Belmont or Gulfstream, $500 is not going to be anything. You put $500 to win on a horse at Turfway, it might mess some things up. But if you bet early enough, it has time. The pools will work themselves out, and you'll get your price. You'll get the price that you deserve.
If you're good enough and you know how to read a form and you know how to gauge how the public's betting, and of course you have your program that actually tips you off too or whatever. But if you know this game, and you legitimately know how to figure out what a horse's odds are supposed to be, give or take a little bit. We're all wrong once in a while, right? Anomalies happen.
Sure.
But yes, the market will correct itself by post time, so to speak.
More or less, and certainly in the old days it did, but I mean, it's a little more sophisticated now.
Yeah.
But I think, Turfway, they got pretty good handle. I don't think, even a $500 bet. I don't bet $500 to win, but I will easily put 100 down.
Yeah.
And $100 is not going to move the tote board.
Not at Turfway. Not at Turfway.
And $100 on a 10-1 shot, that's $1,000.
That's $1,000. That's a nice work, right?
And what's more likely, to hit a 10-1 shot that you really, really like, or to hit some 4-race sequence where you don't have a really good opinion?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I'm a big fan of is actually singling a horse. If there's a 10-1 horse now, that's all me to single one in a pick four, because there's a couple things happen. One, I've thought differently than everybody else if that horse were to come in. Secondly, it may not cost me that much to invest in that pick four, right? I'm a big, when they spread, you single kind of guy. Whereas a lot of people, they'll see 10-1 and they won't have the quote unquote testicular fortitude to single that horse. They'll want to just automatically cover it more. So we're on the same page, right? We're on the same page.
No, I totally
I'm all
agree. Listen, I'm guilty of that. I don't have the cojones to do it because it could get expensive, to cover let's say you like a 10-to-1 shot and you single it. Last thing you want to do is get knocked out in leg 2 by some 30-to-1 shot.
Right. So here's what I would do.
Yeah.
Let's just say we're keeping us a caveman ticket, right?
Right.
So I mean, this way we could go into all kinds of different variables with this.
Right.
But if a 10 to, let's say I like he's 10-to-1, let's say it's third leg in a sequence. It's not going to cost me much to surround that horse, right?
Right.
With the horses I actually think can win or whatever, I can get a little risky, right? Because I've already knocked that one out, and all I got to do is be right. That 10-to-1 comes in, I mean, you're talking, you get the right horses around it. Or you can kick out some favorites in the other spots too, which I'm always a big believer in stuff too. So if maybe you might get a $24, $32 play that turns into a quick $3 or $4 grand. So I'm a believer. Don't get me wrong. I'm a believer in betting to win. But if I see a horse is 10-to-1, I'm going to bet him to win anyway. I am starting to think single and maybe trying to go for the throw. But it's a balancing act. It's a balancing act.
Here's how I play it. Okay. I don't want to go on forever on this, but put a win bet down.
Yes.
And then also play a pick 4 with the horse singled. And obviously now you got let's say you have a $100 budget to race. Okay, so you put a little pick 4 together. Maybe it's a $24 pick 4. Then you put $75 to win. You still
right, fair enough
on a horse.
Yeah.
And you could hit the 75 to win, and then you could also hit the $24 pick 4.
I agree. So here's what you do: don't throw bet the place and show on the horse. Take that place and show money, use that for the pick 4, bet you win money. There you go. We got it all taken care of. But now all we need is a 10-to-1 shot to work this out with, right?
Okay. Yeah. Well, we had a few today. We had quite a few. We were not chalk eating weasels.
No.
We only had a couple that we just said, hey, we can't.
They're going to win.
But more often than not, we gave some prices out. There's opportunity to be made here. And, man, I really enjoyed bantering with you and going over these horses.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to learning more about your system. Again, I brag on people in the game who teach me things that I don't already know. I mean, I know a lot of what everyone else knows. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But there's those people out there that teach me a little something. Caitlin Free at Turfway Park. She thinks differently than I do. So I learn from her from a pedigree standpoint. I can learn from this because this is something that's outside my norm, outside my comfort zone. So I'm going to adopt it and try to learn from it. And I think others should too.
Sounds good. All right. Well, until the next time, I'll definitely have you back on.
Oh, thanks.
And we'll, hopefully hook up with you in your podcast sometime. But really enjoyed it. And say goodbye to everybody and have a great weekend.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. And thanks for having me on.
You're welcome.